Good afternoon, everybody. Can I get a mic check and a can you see my screen check? Awesome. Thank you, guys. We'll get going in about 2 minutes. Stand by. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Paul Ura with the National Weather Service office here at the Austin San Antonio office. This will be our 2 p.m. Thursday, January 16th briefing on this upcoming winter weather event. Couple logistics. If you do have questions, you can enter them into the questions feature of the GoToWebinar, and we'll get to the questions at the very end. Everybody will remain muted during this entire webinar. The webinar is being recorded, and the recording, along with a PDF of all of these slides, will be emailed soon, right after it's complete. I usually try to do that within the hour, like that. So we'll get started. The important updates, there's pretty high confidence that this cold Arctic air is on its way. It will arrive. The front will actually be here on Saturday, but the cold air will really kind of come in beginning on Sunday. And continued low confidence, unfortunately, on the type of winter precipitation, and if we will even get any winter precipitation. We'll kind of get into those details here shortly. And the next briefing will be tomorrow at the same time at 2 p.m. The main points: the front will arrive by Saturday morning, but then there's going to be a secondary push of the coldest air Saturday night and early Sunday. So it's not going to feel like the Arctic on Saturday afternoon. But later, as soon as the sun goes down and that next push comes in, especially when you wake up on Sunday morning, you will feel it. Hard freezes will occur in some areas as early as Sunday morning, but through much of the area then on Monday and Tuesday and possibly even Wednesday morning. Cold weather advisories are going to be likely during some of those times. Right now is going to be the time to push cold weather preparedness, the 4 Ps. Heater safety. I know there's been an uptick in house fires because of that, so be sure to push all those out to your jurisdictions. There is a low to medium confidence, only about a 20 or 40% chance in precipitation during late Monday all the way through Tuesday. Now, if the precipitation actually does occur, it will be light, generally less than 1/10 of an inch. And so again, we'll have some details on that. And also not exactly sure what kind of precipitation. We could have a kind of a mix, what we call mixed precipitation, where you have a mixture of freezing rain, sleet, or snow. Maybe one area may be more favored for snow, another area more favored for freezing rain. We'll talk about those details. So here is what is expected by Saturday morning. The front will actually technically be through portions of south central Texas, but again, that cold air is really kind of lagging behind by a little bit. Drier air will filter in. The winds will start to get gusty. And because of that, we actually will have a little bit of an elevated fire weather concern. We did have some pretty decent rains last week, so it's not horrific, but there are a lot of dry grasses out there just in this normal time of year. So obviously caution will have to be used, particularly on Saturday after the front comes through. We are expecting sunny skies, and so there's going to be some mild temperatures in the afternoon, upwards into maybe areas into the 60s, 50s and 60s generally for everybody. So in the days that progress after Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, the high pressure that's kind of centered over the northern plains, northern Rockies, is going to be kind of coming down our general direction. And you can kind of see on high pressure on Sunday, Monday comes a little bit closer, and then on Tuesday, it actually becomes in the kind of the central plains area. So some of this high pressure is actually going to be shoving a little bit more east instead of due south, and that's good for us. So we are going to get some Arctic air, but it looks like by Wednesday and Thursday, that high pressure area will start to push east even more. And so we actually may get a little bit of a start of a modification of which basically equates to a little bit of warmer temperatures by the end of the week. Temperatures will be some 20 to 30 degrees below average during that time. Just so you know, kind of like average temperatures, like for San Antonio, average high this time of year is like 63, and average low is 41. So you're talking about 20 plus degrees colder than those temperatures during this upcoming week. So let's kind of go day by day real quick for Sunday. These are low temperature maps on the left, high temperature maps on the right. You can kind of see that there'll be some areas with a hard freeze already in the hill country by Sunday morning. Much of the other areas will kind of be right at around or have a light freeze already by Sunday morning. And high temperatures, again, because we are expecting some sunny skies on Sunday, we're going to be probably warming up into the 40s in the afternoon on Sunday itself. So Sunday will feel cold. There'll be some pretty strong winds, so it will definitely feel like wintertime outside despite some sunny skies. On Monday, some of the coldest temperatures, you can see the teens possibly out into the hill country, hard freeze elsewhere, mid-20s along Interstate 35, and then mid-20s all the way down in the coastal plains and even portions of the Rio Grande. High temperatures, some of the clouds may start to roll in already by midday on Monday, so we are expecting, again, some warm up. Most areas should get above freezing. Kind of a low chance that maybe some areas in the hill country would struggle maybe to get, especially if the clouds come in a little bit sooner than expected. But for the most part, we think most people should get above freezing on Monday itself. Cold weather advisories are probably going to be likely starting on Monday because of the wind chill, and we'll talk about that here in a second too. Tuesday, not a ton of difference, to be honest. Hard freezes everywhere, especially on Tuesday morning, and Tuesday high temperatures. Again, struggling mainly, everybody should be probably in the 30s. And again, if it's cloudier and if there's more precipitation than's forecast, then some of these temperatures may actually come down a bit. But we're still running with a small threat that there's some areas, especially in the hill country, that may have upwards of more than a day below freezing, maybe even closer to 2 days. But that chance has kind of lessened a little bit over the last 24 hours. So we'll just kind of take it day by day. I did a kind of a little capture of what we think are going to be the lowest wind chills during the whole Monday, Tuesday timeframe. And this is kind of what we came up with. Definitely the teens and possibly even some single digit wind chills out in the hill country. Again, this is kind of going to be triggering what we think is going to be the cold weather advisory during that time on Monday and Tuesday. For those of you that have not seen it, this is actually our criteria for the cold weather advisories, where if temperatures reach 15 degrees or colder, and that could be air temperature or it could be wind chill temperature, we would likely trigger the cold weather advisory, and 20 degrees pretty much elsewhere across our region. Okay, so let's talk about precipitation chances. We showed these sort of probability graphics the last go around last week, so I continued. This is now the chances of having minor winter storm impacts. So just minor impacts, and by minor we mean a few inconveniences, mainly some using caution while driving, kind of a thing. Overall, you can see by 6 p.m. Monday, we're starting to get some sort of probabilities in amongst South Central Texas. The highest probabilities, which are still low, only 20% of having minor impacts, mainly across the northern sections of South Central Texas, and elsewhere even lower than that. So overall, there's just a very low chance right now of seeing any sort of winter precipitation that would be any sort of impacts at all on Monday. So we still think Monday is mainly going to be just a cold weather type of a day. Going in time a little bit into 6 a.m. Tuesday morning now, you can see that the chances of having minor impacts have increased. They're now into that medium range, into that 40 and 50 and even 60% range. Again, the northern section of South Central Texas primarily. But anywhere you can kind of see, even down further south into San Antonio, the coastal plains, and even a little bit out toward the Rio Grande, we've at least increased the chances, albeit small, of having some sort of minor impacts from some sort of winter precipitation. So this is now moderate impacts. What are the chances of having moderate impacts on that same 6 a.m. time frame on Tuesday morning? Moderate impacts, chances are low. This is kind of very similar to what we saw kind of last week. So this is good news for us, because what this all points to is that we're going to be expecting possibly some precipitation, but if it does happen, it is going to be light, and we're just not expecting very large impacts. And so you can see just low chance of having any sort of moderate impacts during at least the Tuesday a.m. time frame. Stepping in time all the way now to 6 a.m. Wednesday morning, we're back down to where are the probabilities of only minor impacts. As you can see, the chances of even just getting minor impacts are very, very low across much of the region come Wednesday morning. So from a time frame standpoint, late Monday night into most day Tuesday are going to show those highest chances that if we do get something, that's where we'll have some winter precipitation. By Wednesday, the models are already kind of pushing the impact zone primarily east of our region. Here's a map that kind of shows the chance of getting at least 0.01 inches of freezing rain. So basically, trace amounts of freezing rain or higher. And interestingly enough, the actually chances are highest down toward the coast, and that's because that's closest to the Gulf of Mexico, that's closest to the moisture source. And so if there is going to be some warm air that kind of comes in our region to cause just freezing rain, that's where it's going to be. Again, even just a little bit of drizzle is going to be basically a hundredth of an inch. Okay, so again, this isn't pointing toward a whole bunch or a big gigantic ice storm. This is just kind of show you that if we do get winter precipitation, the freezing rain aspect, the highest chances, although they're still in the medium range, are going to be kind of along and south of Interstate 10 for the most part, down toward the coast. Now, if we reverse this, then talk about where are the highest chances of just getting snow itself, it's actually areas further to the north. These are chances where we can get at least 1 inch of snow, and you can see the chances and probabilities are actually very low, only in upwards of about 10 to 20% across portions of Austin and the northern sections of South Central Texas. So again, we're not looking like any slam dunk right now for even getting any sort of measurable sort of precipitation. Some of the models are still actually fairly dry during this whole situation, and so we'll keep updating you day by day of what these chances look like and kind of see if we can pick up on some trends, especially as the high resolution models come into play within the next day or two. I'm not going to talk about this a lot, but there are a few new people on our webinars this go around. This is a great website. You can look at this website, especially when I send out the slides, and it's a great place to go and get all of the data for your particular location. And then also for our winter preparedness, like I said, now is the time to start pushing that and be pushing that for the next several days. Great graphics you can use there. And then to finally wrap it up, for those of you that joined late, the front is actually coming in Saturday morning, but the main push of the coldest air will be lagging behind it. And the secondary push will happen Saturday night into early Sunday. So by early Sunday, you will feel it. And there will be some hard freezes, especially from portions of the area in the hill country Sunday morning, but definitely Monday morning and Tuesday morning across all of South Central Texas, where we have to have those cold weather advisories issued. Preparedness is going to be key. And again, right now, our confidence is still pretty low that we're going to have any sort of impactful winter precipitation. But if that precipitation does occur, it is forecast as of right now to be fairly light, and what that should equate to are pretty minor impacts overall. Plenty of time for all of that to change. Like I said, we'll give you updates day by day as we go on. The next briefing will be at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Again, as soon as we're done with this, I will go ahead and make the recording and get the PDF slides out to everybody. Are there any questions from anybody out there? You can enter them into the questions feature of your GoToWebinar. I'll wait just for a few seconds to see if any questions come in. Again, use the questions feature and type that in, and I will go ahead and see those. Right now, there's a question about impacts to Travis County. Cold impacts, it's going to be cold. So, right, obviously the typical cold temperature sort of impacts are inset, especially with wind chills. As far as precipitation right now, it's still kind of unknown. And I hate to kind of say that, but this far out and with such flip-flopping by the models of having it winter precipitation and not having it winter precipitation, or having that precipitation getting lower and lower sometimes every time the model comes through, it's just not a lot of confidence right now. But let's say we do have a little bit of snow, let's say we do have a little bit of freezing precipitation. Again, the totals look so small right now that, you know, obviously maybe some travel issues we could have. You know, what's setting up as the way it looks like right now would be kind of in that winter weather advisory sort of mode, where, yeah, we have a little bit of snow, we have a little bit of freezing rain or some sleet that falls. And so, yeah, you'd have some overpass impacts, right? The elevated surfaces that would ice over first. That's my first guess right now, if that all in fact comes true. So that's my best guess right now. To get on the email list, best way to get on the email list is to send me an email at paul.ura@noaa.gov, paul.ura@noaa.gov. And so that is the best way to get added onto this list. Do I consider Bulverde and Spring Branch hill country? For the most part, the answer is yes. Anything in higher terrain, so basically the western half of Comal County, Hayes County, and Travis County, I personally consider kind of hill country. You may see that a little bit different in some of the literature and so forth, but I use it because that's typically where we have just slightly more colder temperatures and so forth. There's a question here about changing the time because it conflicts with some other state call. Yeah, I'm not sure who all is on that other state call, to be honest. And so for us, this is the time we need to have it for all of the rest of our partners for the most part. So yeah, unfortunately, there's a whole lot of conference calls happening right now, and I understand, but that's also why we record them and we send out all the slides. So by all means, just if you're not able to make it, I fully understand, and just you can get briefed by watching and listening to the recording. Stand by. Oh, there was one clarification about the email list about receiving alerts. By alerts, I'm assuming you meaning like watches, warnings, and advisories. If that's the case, then signing up on the FEMA app is actually a great way to do that, to be honest, because right, I do not personally send out emails every time we issue a watch or warning or advisory. Our daily emails that we're doing right now are situation reports that have an overarching understanding of the weather pattern that we're in and what may be coming. But to receive alerts, obviously, the National Weather Service webpage, apps such as the FEMA app, and then also, depending on where you're at, there are some areas like up in South Central Texas that has Warn Central Texas website where you can sign up to get those alerts as well. Would we know by the Monday session if Tuesday, Wednesday forecast suggested delays, openings, or closures for Central Texas on those days? Obviously, typically what happens in these scenarios is that the closer we get to the weather event, there are more models to look at, which means there is more information to decipher and to come up with a even better forecast than we did the prior day. So that is always our hope, is that yes, by the Monday's webinar, we will have some much better idea as to maybe what sort of impacts and how much precipitation, if it may occur at all. Like I said, hopefully by Monday, we see that all the models are drying out and we may just get a little bit of flurries or something like that. And that is still kind of my hope internally. But yes, hopefully we'll know by Monday. Last couple questions here. What is the first day for the high resolution models? Typically, it's the ones that we tend to use tend to be more into that 48-hour sort of time frame, 60 hours, 48 hours. So right, starting tomorrow, we may start to get at least in the edge of it, but primarily over the weekend is where we'll be able to kind of utilize some of those better high resolution models to see about precipitation chances, especially if those precipitation chances may be highest on, let's say, a Tuesday. Then yeah, really kind of almost by Sunday is where we'll really start to kind of leverage those a little bit. Okay, right. So, right, if you want to get the alerts that are coming from our email, which is the sr-edwx.alert email address, then yes, send me paul.yura@noaa.gov. That's paul.yura @NOAA.gov, and we can add you onto the list there. Are the higher wind gusts and lower wind chills expected to arrive in the initial arrival of the front or later in the cold air? Technically, there wasn't a huge difference from what I saw. I didn't really pay hour by hour pay attention right now over the last hour about what our forecast was doing because we just finished it up. I'll go back and look. It's a great way to kind of look at the forecast points webpage and go to your location, and you will see the hour by hour winds and wind gusts as they come through. As that cold air surges down, especially on Sunday and Monday, I think we should remain at least fairly breezy during that entire time. Are you going to have webinars over the weekend? The answer is yes. We're going to be doing these daily at 2 p.m. throughout the event. And yes, I just answered the next question too. Yes, we're going to be doing these briefings at 2 p.m. every day, even on Saturday and on Sunday. And then yes, on Monday is technically a federal holiday for us, but we will be here doing all the webinars and handling conference calls from all of our partners and all of that as well. Okay, I do not see any more questions that have come in, so I'll give it about 5 more seconds. Everybody else is able to then log off if they'd like. Again, I'll get this recording and slides out ASAP to everybody. Thank you again, and we will talk to everybody tomorrow at 2 p.m. Have a good day.